Yeah.
Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. We got Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Packers tonight. As obviously some players have some new homes as we get a little deeper into free agency. No more moves for the Packers, but we do have some contract information, stuff like that for you guys and gals. Hopefully everybody had a great day. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, share with your friends. Appreciate y'all making us a part of your evening. Gents, let's open the floor up before we dive into the topics tonight. Anything any of y'all want to cover? Maybe at the forefront of your mind. I know, Emilio, you've been listening to podcasts like that one right before we went live there. So You got anything on the forefront of your
mind? Listening. I was listening to Ross Tucker's earlier. I didn't get through Move the Sticks before I got on. But, yeah, Ross was talking about Hobbs. He said, great inside out, versatile corner. He said he wasn't sure on the O-line spending, didn't quite see it coming. And, we maybe didn't see it either, but I'm not mad at the two pickups. I think Goody was still in the bag. I mean, we got Josh Jacobs on a deal, prove it deal, and he proved it. So maybe that's just kind of the mentality: show up, you get paid.
Yeah, I think the two things that got confirmed with that offensive line signing there. I'm trying to remember his name, Aaron Banks, right?
Well, first is Build the Wall. Second is Travis Glover's the new backup, right?
I believe that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So with the signing of Aaron Banks, I think it's two things. I think one, Goody had a very, very high draft grade on him the year that he got drafted, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And two, he liked the tape. He went back, watched the tape, and said, "Yep, this dude's playing at a high level at the NFL." And I know people see the PFF grades and they think otherwise, but that's why we always say, man, you can't just trust the PFF grades. It's a great tool, but it's not everything. So
I was scrolling through Twitter, I saw some. I don't know who put it up. Some clips of him. I mean, I wasn't mad at the clips I saw, when he was out there blocking. So I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And matter of fact, let's just lead off with Aaron Banks here, if that's good with you boys. We got his RAS card from Kent Lee Platt over on X. You guys know him as Math Bomb. Here was his RAS coming out of Notre Dame, 7'19". So his height was 6'5", right? That scored a 9. His weight, 325. That scored an 8.69. His bench press was only 24. That's interesting, right? Seems pretty low there. 5.39 was the score. His explosion grade was good. Vertical, 31. That gave him a 9 score. His broad jump was only 8.04, which scored him a 4.8. 40-yard dash was a 5.34. 20-yard split was 3 flat. And his 10-yard split was a 1.91. And that gave him an okay composite speed grade. And then his agility grade was okay as well with the shuttle of 4.92, scoring him a 2.95 and then a 3-cone of 7.73 for a score of a 7.54 total there. And I think I've actually got that clip of the tape if you guys want to kind of look at a little bit of tape from the newest edition here with Aaron Banks. First of all, RAS, before we move on from this screen, anybody got anything to add to that? I think it's another example of you can't just treat RAS like it's the most important thing,
Right. Exactly. I mean, the tape I saw on him, he looks like he moves pretty well for a big boy, especially getting out there in space. I don't think we have to worry about him being ineligible downfield or anything, but he definitely moves good laterally and in space. It seems some of those pass pro sets and the run blocking. So, I'm not ready to make any broad determinations until we see what he looks like here in a Packer uniform, so something to look forward to, OTAs and camp, things like that. But he's a big dog and he moves pretty well from what I've seen. So I don't think the RAS is everything here, especially, we're looking at 4-year-old numbers, right?
Yeah. So I think it's a great point, Tim. I mean, you can't teach height and hand size, right? I mean, It's just one thing that you can't do. So I love that. I love that. He's in the green in those sections, and then let's go from there. Looking at our draft board, he'd still get a -1, right, Clay? So, I mean, it's not going to hurt him where his RAS is. So I'm not mad at all.
And with the -1, you see that and you think, okay, yeah, the bonus matters. Don't get me wrong, but it's also gathering information. When I see a -1, I don't go, "Ooh, he was bad with RAS." It tells me, like, okay, he's on the lower end, but still.
But he's an athlete, right? He's still an athlete, even though he's on the lower end. He's still getting the deduction. It's no, Jay Higgins 1.4 or whatever. I mean, brutal,
right?
And usually they show. Oh, there it is, right there. Yeah. So to put that into perspective, out of 1,148 offensive guards from 1987 to 2021, he was ranked 324. Pretty darn good, right?
He can block.
Yeah. And the other thing I will say about Notre Dame, and I know many other college fans who don't like Notre Dame scoff at this, but you've got to be an intelligent cat to attend Notre Dame. Like, they're not playing with the academics. This isn't the University of Florida. Yeah, that was a shot fired. They're actually, now you're a student first and foremost, and then we'll talk football type thing. Yeah. Jacob, what do you think about the RAS, man?
You're muted, Jacob.
He's probably been talking the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that RAS. That's definitely shows that, I would like to see if that shuttle was a little bit of a higher score. I think that drastically kicks that number up. And, the shuttle, say what you want about the offensive line position. I like 3-cone more than the shuttle, but, it's more of an indicator of kind of what they actually do. But I could be wrong, but 7.19. Just slightly above my RAS, but I'll take it. I think I'll take it for sure. And like you said, what we see on tape is a little more better than some of the measurables. That's the most important part.
Yeah, I'm debating whether we should show the tape or not. Last time we did this, it did get flagged, but we're allowed to show it. But there's a chance the stream goes down, and then they'll pull it back up. That whole thing. So we'll just skip over it. You guys, you can find it on my Twitter feed. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, the guy who tweeted it out was Brandon Carwile at BCARWILE_NFL. He went through and did a film breakdown. And just to kind of give you an idea of what the tape shows, and again, this is a highlight reel. This isn't going to show the bad ones, right? Like Tim said, he moved really, really well to the second level. So I trust Goody, man. He gives that much money to an offensive line, and we don't have all the details on the contract yet, but you pay that kind of money to an interior offensive lineman. I think you like what you got there for sure. So that, again, is Aaron Banks's RAS information. Before we get into a little Nate Hobbs here, let's cover some info that dropped right before we went live earlier tonight. The Green Bay Packers were officially awarded the 250th pick in this year's draft. As Ari Mirov had tweeted out, NFL awarded compensatory draft picks today for the 2025 NFL draft. Here's the full list of extra picks. Obviously, you had a flurry of third-rounders. You had, 4 fourth-rounders. You had about, a bunch of fifths, a bunch of sixths. And then, of course, the Packers are going to come in here at the number 7 spot. We were 34th in compensation, which lands us the 250th pick. So we did get an extra 7th-round pick. So, Emilio, you always talked about, hey, man, let's put some of those late-round picks together and try to climb up a little bit further.
Let's bunch them.
Get a little more ammo here now, man.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take anything we can get. It's not like we're we haven't seen the trade happen for Jai yet. So, I'm the capital is what we have. We're not lucky like we were the past couple of years. It just seemed like craziness. We were pulling, 10, 11 picks last year, no problem. Let's see what we do with the minimum.
I know Jacob immediately thinks of 2 or 3 guys that he would draft with that extra pick, wouldn't you, Jacob?
Oh, yeah, baby. I'm keeping them 7th-rounders.
Exactly. Tim, you got anything to add to the comp pick here, man?
I can't wait to see what Goody does with it. Never know. Might be something that's packaged into a trade for all we know, But I think that Goody's going to take everything he's got, honestly. You know what I mean? I think he'd rather have more picks than less. So, it'd have to be a hell of a deal to probably trade away a pick. But I think it's going to be fun. We know he cooks in those mid to late rounds. It'll be fun to see.
Yeah, definitely. Matt Schneidman had put a tweet out. Packers full draft picks per the NFL release. So we've got in the first round, the 23rd overall pick. We got a second rounder, which is the 54th overall pick. Third rounder, that's 87th overall pick. Fourth rounder, 124th overall pick. In the 5th round, 159. In the 6th round, we got pick 198. And then in round 7, we've got picks 237 and 250 is where we sit there. So we'll see if Goody wants to trade back a couple times and end up with, well over 10, 11 picks like he has in the past, or if he wants to be aggressive and try to climb up. I know this, you don't feel like you have to reach it all for an offensive lineman now. You're still going to draft a couple, I believe, personally, but you don't have to reach as much, knowing that you nabbed what I think was probably their top target in free agency. And the same thing with corner. We were talking about with corner, we seen potentially 3 needs there at corner. And watching the tape on Hobbs, it's a lot of fun, man. That dude's the guy. He attacks the football. Like, that's the one thing we noticed last night watching it. Have you guys got a chance to check any of his tape out at all?
I have a little bit, yeah. He reminds me a lot of the type of players that I was really ecstatic about us getting in this last draft with Evan Williams and Bullard, and how they're not afraid to come on and create contact rather than wait for contact. Like, you guys know, I've hated that my whole life. I feel like for years we watched Packers, specifically D-backs and stuff. They would come up, they plant their foot, they wait, they get bowled into, drive back 5 yards, and we call it a plus because they quote unquote made the tackle. It seems as if there's a different mentality in the DB room. I would hopefully credit that to Halfley. And he says, I need guys that are willing to stick their nose in there and get a little dirty, a little down and dirty. Some may call it a human meat missile, just saying.
It's like
so
the office.
If Hobbs is one of those guys, and let's go. And obviously he's got a little bit of the injury bug, but turning over a new leaf now. And it's kind of interesting. I feel like there's just a wide open 4-lane highway that goes from Vegas to Green Bay, because we do a lot of deals together. I'll just say that.
It's a good point. It's kind of been like that historically too.
Yeah, absolutely. So really quickly, back to Mr. Aaron Banks and our O-line. Here's our heights, starting with Rasheed Walker, 6'6", Banks 6'5", Elton Jenkins 6'5", Jordan Morgan right guard 6'5", Zach Tom 6'4", right tackle. I'm going to eat all the weights from that order again: 325, 325, 310, 310, 305. That is 15. That is 1575. That's 1,500 pounds, Jacob, of meat in front of Jordan Love. I mean, how can you not get excited about that? You know what I'm saying? There's 650 pounds on the left side.
Come on, that's like a normal night at the office there, Jacob. Go ahead. There you go.
Okay, well, Ron makes up a good point. You can't have too many meat missiles, that's for sure. As again at the Oval Office, they say that all the time. Here's Nate Hobbs. Look at that.
Yeah, go ahead, read it off to the folks at home here, Jacob. What's
sure.
What's Math Bomb say about it?
Well, Math Bomb, Mr. Kent Lee Platt says Nate Hobbs was drafted in round 5, pick 167 in the 2021 draft class. He scored a 9.61 out of a possible 10. This ranks 70th out of 1,776. Love that number. Quarterbacks from 1987 to 2021.
Nice. So this guy is a bit of a freak, no doubt about it. Let's look at why he scored a 9.61. His height, he was 5'11". That scored a 6.50. His weight was 196. That's a 770. Bench press, guys, 17 reps. My man is thick. You know what I'm saying? 8.37 is what he scored there. Vertical jump, 40.5 inches, right? Scoring a 9.59. His broad jump, 11.03, scoring a 9.93. So his composite explosion grade through the roof. Now let me explain what explosion grade and kind of where that came from. The one I learned from was the guy who wrote the book here. Pat Kerwin wrote "Take Your Eye Off the Ball."
Right.
He talks about combining vertical jump with broad jump in this book and getting and a couple other things as well to get an explosive grade, right? And that just shows the burst that a player has. Not necessarily quick twitch, not necessarily reactionary, but just the overall explosion they can generate. It's huge amongst front offices and GMs. So 40-yard dash, a 4.48, scoring him a 7.33. His 20-yard split was 2.58, scoring an 8.92. And then his 10-yard split was a 1.58, scoring a 6.27. That's giving him a good composite speed grade, and then composite agility grade. The shuttle was a 4.17 scoring a 6.97, and his 3-cone was a 6.85 scoring a 7.95. So arm length too, 32.5. So I don't know, man. After watching the tape last night, Tim, we hung around for a little bit and watched a little highlight reel, and it was highlights, right? But he was attacking the football like crazy, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had the same takeaway right away was that, man, he's going to fit in perfect in this Hafley defense. I mean, that's the attitude, man. Attack the ball. I think for his size, he's pretty solid tackler. I mean, I know PFF may disagree on some of the tackle grades, but from what we saw, he looks like he's got a good base, and he's pretty good in the open field. So I like to see it, man. And versatility is exactly what we need if we're bringing in more corners, right? We don't need one-dimensional corners. The fact that he's got slot experience and also can play the boundary is huge.
Yeah. If I could highlight one thing, Joe in the chat says, games started for Hobbs since coming into the league, 16, 11, 13, 11. Y'all are being homers. I'm not sure if you watched the show last night, Joe, but we did highlight. I specifically said he has injury concerns. That's the biggest knock. That's why he was probably traded around or signed for so low compared to the other guys that have his skill set, his RAS, his age. So we're not being homers. I highlighted it saying that
said it a second ago.
So, I mean, it's and also it's the off season, man. I mean, if we're supposed to be just immediately depressed about it. So I understand.
No, I've got this, Jacob. Joe, you're right. The hell with this team. The hell with this team. Let's end the stream. We're not talking Packers. This is a horrible signing. I'm done with this team. I'm going to go watch golf. This is ridiculous.
I'm a Wisconsin kid. I live in Green Bay. I'm a Packer fan. I'm a homer. Call me a homer.
I mean, it is. At this point of the season, how can we not be homers, man? So that's all I'll say about that.
I don't understand it. Don't understand it.
I do know that a lot of Raiders fans were not happy to see Hobbs.
That's true. I was going to bring that up.
Right.
A lot of
them. And I tell you, I don't think there's too many Packer fans that are sad that Eric Stokes is now a Raider. So we'll just leave it at that.
Respect the Oranges. Shut it down. We're watching Varsity Blues.
I don't want your life.
That is the truth, though, Tim. I was scrolling through the comments. They were like, wow, we got a steal. You got a dog right there. One of them was like, what are you doing to our secondary? I mean, like, they were relying on him. So that's got a little probably, knows Rich Bisaccia, been there. Hafley must like him. I feel like Hafley wouldn't have said, hey, go out and spend that kind of money on this dude if I don't think I can work with him.
Yep. Right. And it's the same type of fans you hear them say, well, once again, Goody did nothing. And it's like, did y'all not pay attention last year? What happened? And here's another thing. Check this out. Since Goody didn't do anything, as of earlier today, we had spent the 6th most in free agency.
Yep.
Now, if you're saying you don't like the guy, okay, cool. We can agree to disagree, but don't say he didn't do anything. Look at the money spent. Like, it's wild. Like Prince says here, including the McManus and McDuffie deals, Packers are in the top 5 spenders in free agency. If McManus had been able to walk, I would have been very upset. As soon as we signed that, it's okay. We're back in the hunt. We're looking to win right now, which, no surprise there. If we had let him walk and we started over the rookie kicker, I would have been pretty like, man, I don't really understand that at all. So this is the way Goody operates, man. I remember there was a few people being upset last year too. You guys remember when Aaron Jones got away and it's Josh Jacobs didn't do anything in 2022 or 2023. Like, this was a downgrade. You don't hear them talking about that anymore, right? Nope. And look, Hobbs could be a bust of a signing, right? So could Banks. Those could both be horrible signings. It's happened before. It'll happen again. But I'm sorry, man. I don't understand the person that goes to YouTube going, let me watch something on the Packers. And if they're not bitching, I'm going to call them out on it. Like, who does that? You know what I mean? Go watch Grey's Anatomy. That's right down in your pocket there. A little drama over there. Get you some of that sprinkled in.
I think one thing, too, worth noting is when you look at this list, other than you start seeing maybe Seattle and Minnesota, they are junk teams, which means the Packers are not a junk team. We are literally we're just getting into a wide open Super Bowl window that is popping wide open for the next few years. I would argue that all of these other teams are absolutely either in rebuild or poop the bed mode. It's
Yeah.
it's. I mean, they all are. Look at them. Every single one of them.
All right. The top 5 teams mentioned here: the New England Patriots at $283.6 million, the Panthers at $151.5, Jaguars at $145, and the Giants at $136.5. Correct me if I'm wrong. All 4 of those, along with the Colts, $128.5. The top
And
5.
the Bears.
None of those made the playoffs, right? Am I thinking right? They all
No.
5 missed the playoffs. We are the
playoffs.
we're the playoff team that spent the most money.
Yep.
But yet Goody's not doing anything. That's just wow. So I like the signings. You guys know I was more in the camp of let's go get Khalil Mack, let's go get Chris Godwin, but it wasn't like a gotta have them like it was with McKinney last year. I think what Goody's done here is he went back and watched that Philly game again. Was like, yeah, we got to find us another dog to throw in the trenches here, and we don't know what's going to happen with Jair. I was thinking about this the other day, or actually yesterday. What if Jair does return to the Packers? It's looking like it might be potentially a trade on draft day or on draft weekend, right? I think that's probably the most likely scenario, just being realistic. But there is a slight chance, I think, that he returns to the Packers. If he does, and you got Ja, and you got Carrington, and now you've got Hobbs, who's a little bit versatile. He can play in the slot, he can play outside. Javon Bullard takes another step. I thought he played really well in the run game last year out of the slot. There's a lot. And here's the other thing. Like the other day we had a conversation, and I know Jacob, I'm not calling you out here, Jacob. Don't take this the wrong way. But like you said, with Rashawn Gary being the best pass rusher on the team, that's like, it's not saying much. We were a top 10 defense. We're a top 10 defense. How many times did we, and I heard people talking about this earlier today on Sports Talk, how many years did we hear fans say, if we can just get Aaron Rodgers a top 10 defense, we'll win the Super Bowl. We could just get Aaron a top 10 defense. We have a top 10 defense now.
Yep.
We got a yards per carry, a top 3 run defense based off of last year. I don't know, man. It's just I think they said we were 10th in sacks. I don't know if that's true. I heard somebody say that today. If that's the case, we're 10th in sacks. Like, what's going to make us happy? Being 5th? You know what I mean? Like, the defense held up their end of the bargain. And when we hit the buzzsaw that was the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, to me, it felt like they kicked our asses in the trenches, mainly with their defensive line against our offensive line. But what did Goody do? He went out and tried to shore up the offensive line right off the bat. Going to get Jordan Morgan back from injury. I think we're in a pretty good spot. I do. Now, what I'd like to see them do more, absolutely every fan would. I'd love to see them outspend the Patriots here. But the reality is we're expecting something that's unrealistic or has absolutely no precedent whatsoever with Goody, expecting him to spend the most in the league and just go out there and
on the flip side of that, Clay, spending the most, that's the total, right? That's the 125. That's the total for Banks and Hobbs deal. But both of those are both prove-it deals, right?
Exactly.
So are we even mad at so what are we fighting about? He got a deal whilst, hey, quote unquote, we're still spending a bunch, but we got it on, it's like we got a tool and the free battery with it. That's a screaming deal. I mean, if it's a high output, it's over. We're running that up to the checkout and we're out the door. But we're happy that he had a big number, but hey, we didn't have to actually use that whole big number.
Right. Exactly. So
thank you, Emilio, for putting it into those terms.
Explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old.
The blue collar folks listening at home know exactly what Emilio's talking about. He's like, oh, that made sense. Yeah, got it. So here is the Nate Hobbs deal. We don't have the details on the other just yet, on Aaron Banks's just yet, but here is how it sits right now. So with Nate Hobbs, he gets a 4-year, $48 million deal with $16 million signing bonus. Okay, $16 million guaranteed and an average annual salary of $12 million. All right, so here's what you're looking at. In year 1, if you guys can see this, hopefully you can. All right. 26 years old. His base salary is $1.2 million. He gets a $4 million signing bonus. And this is just how it's allocated. A roster bonus or GM bonus of $388,000 and some change, plus a workout bonus of $400,000. That workout bonus ensures that he will be here for the offseason program, which is huge, especially in a place like Green Bay where guys, if they don't have to go, there's some teams that don't do a whole lot of workout bonuses, right? Like Green Bay and Andrew Brandt, when he was with the Packers, they kind of they created this because guys didn't want to come back to Green Bay when it was still cold, right? They're trying to enjoy the rest of their off season in a warmer climate. So they would throw in that extra incentive. You're going to give guarantees anyway. Why not attach it to a workout bonus and give them an incentive to come into town and work out with the team? So that first year cap hit for Nate Hobbs, $5.9 million. I think that's phenomenal. Now, when you get into year 2, that's going to blimp to $13 million. Now, how is it structured? 1.8 in base salary. You've got $4 million in signing bonus proration. You got a roster bonus of $6.2 million, meaning if he makes the roster by that certain day, then he gets that bonus, right? So keep in mind the roster bonus can be converted just like a base salary can into signing bonus to save money or push cap around, however you see fit to do. You also get the other roster bonus here of $600,000, and you get the workout bonus of $400,000 every year. In year 3, his base salary jumps to $9 million. The signing bonus proration is only $4 million, and you can start to see if you go ahead here and look at the dead cap attached. These are the 2 key numbers you want to look at. And I know it's hard for y'all to see. I apologize. Let me see if I can make it a little easier there. So you look at the cap hit in 2025, it's 5.9, dead cap $16 million, right? In 2026, the cap hit is $13 million. The dead cap is $12 million. What that means is if you decide after 1 year, damn, this dude is an absolute bum, right? And I don't think he's going to be, but let's say he is, you can cut bait, eat a $12 million dead cap hit, but you can also go ahead and free up $1 million roughly. You see what I'm saying? So you could kind of get out of it right before 2026 if you want to. Now, you could go post June 1 and kind of flip that and free up even more money. In 2027, you get a $14 million cap hit and only $8 million in dead cap. So let's say he lasts 2 years, you get to year 3, and you go, yeah, we don't want him anymore. Then you can free up roughly $6 million by just cutting him after 2 years. And then, of course, the cap hit in 2028 is 14.7 with only a dead cap of $4 million. What we always say, 4-year deals are really 3, 3-year deals are really 2. This is honestly a 4-year deal that's really just 2, is what it kind of like. That's what Emilio was alluding to, right, Emilio? About it kind of a prove it. So, any thoughts or questions or anything on how the contract's structured there with Hobbs? I wish we had the other, but right now this is all we got is Nate Hobbs.
Not really contract related, although it is good that, we've got an out as an organization. I think to your comments about the possibility of Josh still being a Packer this season, I think it's going to be really fun to watch the competition in that cornerback room, guys. I mean, you talk about, we didn't even mention Keyshawn Nixon in that little cluster that we talked about. I mean, you talk about lighting a fire under someone's ass. Keyshawn's gonna respond probably the most, I would think. My money would be on Valentine and Nixon to both take a step this year. With Josh still in that room, and then you've got the addition of Hobbs as well. And then going to the draft, there's tons of corner talent in this draft as well. I would not put it past Goody to grab somebody in the draft. So I just wanted to comment on that because I picked up on that right away. Like, camp is going to be really entertaining to see who's fighting to be that CB1, right? We know how important that title is to some of these guys. So, you talk about a new corner coming in on a prove it deal. You got a, possibility of, second year players and rookies having to prove it. And hell, Jair Alexander has to prove it too at this point, if he's going to be back on the field and healthy. So, it's going to be fun in the secondary this year. A lot to look forward to.
Absolutely. Clay, the only thing, can you pull up the team percentages for the cap, or did you already get out of it?
Yeah, I can do that, man.
Because I was just trying to see where we had our secondary sitting. Because, he was sitting at what, 2.1 for this year, and then right around 4 and 3. We've been mad at Ja for, making that money and not really sticking up to it. And that's on Ja. That's on, the team for hoping it. But I think that, you get it out there. We paid Keyshawn $6 million to be a kick returner. He hasn't really done that. He wants to be number 1 corner. Perfect. You got Carrington Valentine coming up, going to have to get paid at some point. He even tweeted yesterday. He said scary hours with the devil facing a fire when he saw that Hobbs was coming. Like, so how can you not get excited about, seeing that kind of drive from the secondary? But looking at it, let's see here. We got Ja at, was he 9%?
9%. That's right.
So then we got X at 6, Keyshawn at 2, which is exactly where Hobbs is at 2. And then your Carrington. I mean, our secondary is almost. I mean, if Ja's not on the team, our secondary is 10% of our entire team, basically. So that's incredible because it opens up so much more when we got to bring in Zach Tom. We got to pay. We got to pay everybody else. You have so much more flexibility. And if Ja does stick around, we're still under 20% for our entire secondary. I think that's a screaming deal. I mean, that's a fifth of your team.
And again, Carrington Valentine last year led the Packers in passer rating allowed, meaning passer rating when targeted, at 69.0. His cap allocation is $1 million, less than 0.5%. Think about that.
That is just crazy.
And here's the thing. Like, I was down. Look right here. I'm a big Kentucky fan. Love my Wildcats. I was down on Carrington his rookie year. Like, you guys heard me. Like, yeah, this dude don't look like. That second year, there was something different there. Something clicked. Let's hope that carries over in the third year. If it does, I'm telling you, boys, you might have you a future CB1 there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Joe here said CV had a huge jump in the second half. It was just like everything clicked, right, Joe? It just came together. And he was breaking off of his coverage. I know they're not attacking a flat there. Let me just get eyes in the backfield. Let's drop back. There was one where it was man coverage, and he went off of his man, playing what we call that fisheye technique, right? In man coverage, basically eyes on his guy, but also on the QB. Just kind of, I immediately thought of that on the Adam Sandler movie. Remember when he walked up and the dude's eyes were all, who was that? Who was that dude that used to be a firefighter in New York, 9/11?
Buscemi.
Yeah, that's right. He's trying to talk him into staying in school. Anyway, that's there goes
crazy eyes.
Yeah, that's what it was. Crazy eyes, wasn't it?
What do you think about this? You guys remember Kamal Haddon, that was a Tennessee boy, if I'm not mistaken, who actually I thought a lot of people were pretty excited about. I don't understand how he got either cut or what happened with that, but is he still on the roster? Does anybody?
I'm pretty sure he's still on the roster, right?
Also, Kalen King.
Yeah, Kamal Haddon, where are you at, sir? There's Kalen King. Kalen King coming in at a cool $840,000, 0.3%.
Hopefully he's the Carrington Valentine of this year. Hopefully Kalen King's the guy that was, we didn't see much of him his rookie year, and maybe he'll take a step. You never know.
Right. And yeah, there's Kamal at the same $840K. So
dude, I'm telling you, man, if we do make a good splash in the draft and even get one solid prospect, if not two, this cornerback room, it's gonna be knives out, dude. They're going.
Think of the safety room too. This is what's really exciting. Let's see if we can actually go positional grouping and just go straight to the safeties here. It might have all the DB in there. Yeah. So look, Xavier McKinney, 6.4% of the 17.8. Last year it was significantly lower, right? Then you got Keyshawn Nixon at 2.5%, which is $6.8 million. Nate Hobbs at 2.1% at $5.9 million. Javon Bullard at 0.5%, 0.5% at $1.5 million. Could end up being your starting slot corner again. Zane Anderson, who we seen come out like, he played a game and a half or whatever, and he was scoring in the 80s. He ended up with over 100 snaps and ended up with like an 80 PFF grade, right? 1.1%. Evan Williams is the big one here, guys. Only 24 years old. He made, I think it was ML Football's all-rookie team. It was him and Edgerrin Cooper that made it. $1.1 million, less than 0.5% towards the cap. And, of course, we talked about Carrington Valentine at 0.4% as well. Isaiah Dunn, not sure who that is, 0.4%. Katano Ladapo, man, another guy that in his limited snaps after getting healthy, I thought he looked like he belonged as well.
Omar Brown.
So there you go. Kamal Haddon, 0.3%. Caleb Hayes, and then, of course, Caleb King. I've still got some high hopes for Caleb King. I'd like to see him turn it on this year, man. And here's the some of the news from the day as well. If you're wondering, okay, what about Stokes? Are they going to re-sign him? He is officially gone, and I think this is kind of neat where he ended up, right? So we pick up Hobbs from the Raiders, right? And Jason Wilde had put out here the 2021 first-round pick goes to Vegas after playing 588 defensive snaps. That's only 54% in 2024. Played in all 17 games last season after playing only 12 games combined the previous 2 seasons. He finished his Packers career with 1 interception and 14 pass breakups, all as a rookie in 21. And Obviously, he quote tweeted Ian Rappaport's tweet that said the Raiders are adding more on defense as they are set to sign former Packers first rounder Eric Stokes to a 1-year, $4 million deal, sources said. Deal was done by Reza Hezem of Athletes First. I probably screwed that name up. I apologize. You don't watch the show anyway, so we're good. So, the Raiders went out and grabbed him, right? Grabbed Eric Stokes. Nothing against Eric Stokes. I'm glad he's gone because I feel like we're never going to get a shot to see someone like a Kalen King or Carrington Valentine actually having a chance to start. I think Carrington Valentine's second half last year is what really kind of pushed Eric on out the door. Like, okay, we got a 7th-round pick that can play ball here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So.
Hey, but to the point of, Nate Hobbs can't play because he's been injured. If you went back and saw what happened to Stokes and he came back and played 17 games this season, you can come back from injury and still play ball. I mean, it's not the be-all, end-all.
It's so true. And that season that Stokes had last year was his best since his rookie year. I mean,
right.
As close as he was going to get to getting back. So for all we know, he could go to Vegas and ball too. And, hit that potential that we all thought he had when we drafted him. So it's never good when you see the, former first-round pick attached to your name when they're trying to market you around the league. It usually means you were kind of underwhelming,
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, so there's your Eric Stokes news of the day. Now, Xavier McKinney, go ahead. You got something?
No, sorry. I was just going to real quick try to pose a question. What team would you see a guy like Josh Myers being signed by?
I was thinking about this earlier, Jacob.
I think Houston makes a lot of sense right now. They basically just purged their whole offensive line, and it was kind of weird. That's why they got rid of Tunzel. They let Shaq Mason walk. They had another guy that just got walked away. Apparently, there was like a cancer in the offensive line room of the Texans. I would not be surprised if they paid Josh some big money to go over there.
A team that comes to mind for me, and I don't know what their center position's like, but we seem to throw players back and forth, is the Niners. The Niners just got rid of a bunch of people too, right? Yeah. I was kind of thinking on a good deal. I don't know what their center position looks like, but they're looking for a center. He would make sense there. But I was also thinking, I said earlier in the year, $5 million or less, I'd be okay with Josh coming back. What if he went out there and tested the market and there's absolutely nothing there, and Green Bay says, hey, we'll give you a 3-year, $10 million deal with $5 million guaranteed? I wouldn't have any problem with that. Him as your backup center makes me feel a lot better about that whole situation too. Like if you do kick Elton to center and now Josh Myers on a, again, $3-4 million ain't nothing towards the cap. If you have him as a backup, I would be totally on board with that. I think it's a long shot for it to happen, but that's another thing that came to mind for me. What do you guys think? Emilio, Tim, where do y'all think he may land? I think it's a great
that's one way of looking at it, right? Because then you could save a draft pick, maybe draft a tackle instead of an interior guy or a center. Maybe, load up on an extra DB or a tight end or something. You never know. So I like that, especially if it's a sweetheart deal. I agree. I think it's probably a semi-long shot that happens, but you could do a lot worse than Josh Myers as your backup. Then you've got a true center as your backup. And then, you kick Elton, to the middle and proceed with whatever our perceived plan is with that O-line. So I don't think it's a terrible idea. I do think that San Francisco is a legitimate landing spot for him. I also would kind of like to just laugh and say, what if he ends up in Vegas with Stokes and the rest of Green Bay's guys from years gone by that finish their careers in Vegas?
Hey, what if Emilio? What if Aaron lands in Pittsburgh and he ends up having to say, "Snap the freaking ball, Josh"?
That'd be crazy. I think Nell brought a great question out here, man. But off a quick search, Google's saying New England Patriots, LA Rams, Tennessee Titans, and the Jets off of just, who might need center help. I think that those are all kind of a possibility. I was even thinking maybe towards the Giants, something like that. They took Runyon last year. Maybe those northern teams like it, and you can play in the cold, all that. Big six, was he 6'4", 6'5", Josh Myers is
6'5", 300 plus, yeah.
So moves good too. He moves good.
What if he ends up in Jacksonville?
Don't do it. Don't do
Duval.
That's for you,
just protecting Fabio, right, Tim?
Yeah.
I'm gonna laugh my ass off if the Jaguars win 13 games this year. Would that not be hilarious if they just go on an epic run with that guy at the helm? It's crazy because he coached at Kentucky for a short bit, right? And they had some success on offense with him there. The first stint, I think he left, went to LA for the Rams with McVay, and then he came back to Kentucky. And yeah, it's just I've never seen any clips like that.
You imagine how many times Josh would puke on the ball if he played in Jacksonville?
Oh
my God, that's
way too dehydrated. Yeah,
you throwing up at Lambeau, you're gonna be throwing up down there in that swamp.
Need some Pedialyte stat.
Pedialyte, man. I've never been a Pedialyte person when I was sick, but Mandy forced me to do it one night. You know, she was like, "Hey, here, drink some of this," because we won't talk about it. Anyway. So, sure enough, man, when that Pedialyte hit the tongue, it was like, "Oh, okay." I'm already feeling. It was like an angel just said, "It's going to be okay."
Yeah, it's going to be okay. Great. I used to slam one of those the night before any game. You know what I'm saying? Anything that you had to do a lot of running for, fired up.
I like what Coach Lynn said. What, Jacob? What's your?
I used to chug Pedialyte the next morning after a night of fun, and I would just try to limp into work like the crypt keeper, like, "I'm good to go, guys. Let's go."
But nothing happened.
No. Jacob buys it the night of, drinks half the bottle, fills it half full with a clear substance, and then shakes it up and finishes that for the night.
Breakfast of champions, brother.
You gotta do mix it with your eggs.
That's right.
It's just egg whites, though. Yeah.
Coach Lynn says your guard combination is going to be nasty. Tim, I couldn't agree more. I think it's going to be awesome.
And I can't wait to see Josh Jacobs and E. Wilson and Marshawn Lloyd running through it. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. And I had read online, multiple people were reporting it's definitely going to be Elton Jenkins being center. But then today I heard Wildy say it on his show, and I was like, okay, this is legit now. He's like, yes, Elton Jenkins is going to be the center. So we go back to last year, and it's why it's important. I know we roll our eyes at reports and stuff, and you do got to take a little bit of everything with a grain of salt. But when that was reported by Rob Domofsky last year, he nailed it. They said the center of the future is in the building, right?
Right.
Now, they also made a comment that Zach Tom was a Pro Bowl caliber or all pro caliber tackle. He was a what was it?
I thought it was Pro Bowl tackle, all pro guard, Hall of Fame center.
Hall of Fame center. When they said that, I went, oh man, are they gonna move Zach Tom to center? Now obviously we've been, pounding the drum for, hey, let's get Elton Jenkins at center and leave Tom at right tackle. I think it's that important. So I'm excited about it, man. Again, you've got Banks at left guard. If it's Jordan Morgan or Sean Ryan at right guard, whoever wins that job, I feel a lot better about our backup swing guard. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't care which one it is. Hopefully Jordan Morgan wins the job. That would make the most sense long term, right? But
and to get a camp where we know who the hell the center is, and a guy can go into his season preparing to be a center, and we're not having to play musical chairs anymore.
Or throwing him out there in the middle of a monsoon, right, Tim?
Yep.
Like Detroit,
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I pose a question though? Let's say everything is going just like it is right now for the next month or whatever. We get into the draft period. We've got our quote unquote center. We don't necessarily know exactly who it's going to be. We got guys like Ryan, guys like Morgan, obviously the two tackles. What if pick 23 comes around and the Packers are sitting there and Gray Zabel's on the board and they're like, we have to pick this guy. We have to. Do you invite that competition or do you – I forgot about Banks. Like now you got a guy that's getting paid pretty decent money, at least on the front. Did we ever look at his contract to see how that was structured?
It's still not released yet. I'll double check again right now. But
Okay.
Last time I checked, it's just got the placeholder years. So here's the thing that was mentioned from Wildy on his show too. And it's, if you really study this stuff and try to learn the information that's coming out, what you should ask yourself, if a tweet drops with info about a player, a contract, anything, the first thing you should ask yourself as a fan is who leaked that information out and why, right? So when the contracts drop, typically the agency leaks the information out and they want to make it sound as good as possible.